Hi, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tami. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. I was going to start this podcast by asking you if you ever feel like less than or that you are not enough. And it's like, Tami, let's be real here. We all know it is the plight of the human that there's areas in our life that we don't feel like we are smart enough, we're good enough, we have enough resources, we feel like we don't have enough, we don't feel like we are enough, and we believe that someone else has it all together. Someone has, and we believe that there is a enough somewhere. We just don't have it. We may not even know what it is or what it looks like, but we know that we don't encompass that. We do not have it, right? Like, let's be real here. The comment, I don't have enough, or I don't feel enough, or I am not enough. How many times a day does that cross your mind? I want to dive into that today, because that one statement is stopping you from having what you want. It's stopping you from embracing what you have. It's stopping you from experiencing what's to come. It is a way of keeping us down. It's a way of not fully enjoying and embracing what God has for us. And I want to talk about it today because it's becoming like I'm hearing more and more and more people say it. I'm hearing my clients, and I part of me thinks that it's because we have school starting again. So all of a sudden there's a lot more responsibilities and we have a lot more to-dos, and then let's face it, like someone pushed fast forward on the time, and we've got holidays coming up, and I feel like I'm already behind with Christmas shopping, and it is August. And so I feel not enough. And I wanted to share that with you today because I know that there's times that you feel like it as well, that you don't have enough information, you don't have enough, you don't know enough next steps, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, you don't feel like you are worthy enough. And I want to talk first about the three things that this statement does to us. And then I'm going to talk about different areas where you may not feel enough. And then I'm going to talk about what we can do about it, how we can get it out of our lives, and how we can use it as a thermometer, as a indicator, and how we can use it to acknowledge what's going on in our hearts and then make a different choice. Okay, so stay with me. Let's do this. I have some notes, but we'll see where God takes this, because this is an area that He's been working on my heart, because I know that part of the plight that I have is I don't feel like what I do is ever enough, that there's always more to do. And I remember growing up thinking, okay, well, there's always something. And let's face it, there is always something. So it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. There's always something to clean in the house. There's always something to fix. There's always something to organize. There's always something to do for work. There's never a time where you're like, well, I have nothing to do, no one to talk to. I have connected with all my friends. I have done everything for my kids. The house is 100% spotless and maintained. At work, I have no projects on the horizon that I need to plan. Let's not even talk about all the things, I've done everything to catch up with what I need to do. There's never a time that we are sitting still and there's nothing. Our brains are always giving us something to do, which also feeds into the fact that we are feeling like there's not enough. And so one of the things that this does is it creeps in these limiting beliefs that bleed into our confidence, that bleed into our motivation, that bleed into our our identity. I have been on, it's the end of August. This episode is probably going to drop in September. And so looking ahead towards the rest of 2024 and into 2025. And I've got some really cool things that I've been doing, things that I know that have helped my clients. One is a vision lab. Like, do you like creating a vision, but it's overwhelming, like sitting down and creating a vision board, creating a vision, creating an impact vision and creating an identity vision. So I'm creating this creating this vision lab, just a 4-week course a 4-week group workshop that we're going to do together. And by the end of it, you're going to have a clear vision. You're going to have a vision board. You're going to see what's possible for you. So this is one of the things that I've got coming up. And if you're interested in that, DM me, because space is limited and I'm going to try it once to see how it goes. And then we'll see what happens. Once may be enough. You never know. Anyway, back to the task at hand. I'm just really excited about what's coming. And as I was looking at what is coming, that thought started creeping in of how are you going to get this all done? You don't have enough time. You're not good enough to manage your time so well. You don't know what's coming around the horizon with the kids and with homeschooling and with, with relationships and friends and all of this. You just need to lock this down and stay where you are, kind of started creeping in. Has that ever happened to you? You start dreaming, you start getting excited about the future, about something that's possible, anticipating something joyful. And then reality check sets in, a comment sets in, your thoughts lock that down and puts you back into this, well, that would be nice if I had enough XYZ. And so having this thought puts us into this feeling that these self-limiting beliefs, realizing that it's not the fact that we're enough anyway, that it's not about us being enough. As a Christ follower, God is enough. In 2 Corinthians 12:9-10, he says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, and for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. For when I am weak, then I am strong." When we realize that we are not enough, that is, instead of allowing that to limit us, it should excite us, because that's an area where God is like, okay, I'm about to do something big here. I'm about to pour my spirit into you and create something better and bigger than you could ever imagine. But instead, we stay focused on the limit of not enough. And instead of saying, okay, God, you put this on my heart and you clearly have a plan for this, we say, I can't. I don't know. I'm not enough. I need more. When God's saying, child, my grace is sufficient for you. My grace enough. And there is, for when I am weak, then I am strong. For when I am weak, God makes me strong. And so when we sit in this, I'm not enough, these self-limiting beliefs pull in all those old thoughts, so thoughts that we have been working for years to rewire, these thoughts that we recognize as lies. They creep in and they are familiar, they're safe, and they make us stuck. They keep us right where we are. And friend, we do not want to stay where we are. So the next thing is, it brings in that fear of failure. When we say we're not enough, it creeps in, and then we, again, self-fulfilling prophecy. Our brains are really good at keeping us safe, and it's going to start filling in all the ways that we could fail, all the ways that we fall short, all the ways that we have to depend on ourselves because it's all up to us. It's not up to us, ladies. It's our actions and it's God's results. It's our actions and it's God's plan. It's our taking a step and taking a leap of faith sometimes. And sometimes a small step does seem like a leap. And then we get to step into it and see that it wasn't as scary as we thought. We didn't need as much as we thought. But when we stay in this, I am not enough or I don't have enough, then the failures that can trickle up. And let's face it, okay? Like, let's be real here that those things that we fear, those failures that we fear could possibly come true. There's also the flip side of that success that's possible as well. And sometimes that's even more scary than the fear of failure because we can handle failure. How many times have you failed? How many times have you fallen? How many bruised and skinned knees do you have from making a choice, trying something and it didn't quite go well? Well, if you are entering into entrepreneurship, we have skinned knees a lot because of that, and it's still worth it. We fall, but we get back up and we get more information and we get to try again and do something a little different. But that fear of failure also says, well, I don't know what to do when I succeed. So those fears that we have and the thoughts that we have with surrounding those fears, because know that fear is a thought and we get to decide our thoughts. We get to decide our emotions based on the thoughts. So if we don't want to fear it, if we don't want to have anxious thoughts around it, we get to rewire that. And I won't go into that today, but just know that when you are telling yourself that you're not enough, you're also saying it's because you have a fear of what could happen. And we need to remind ourselves that yes, those falls can happen, but also so can the soaring. I did a podcast a few months ago, probably more than a few months ago. It's in podcast world. It's like all of a sudden I was like, oh, that was 6 months ago. Oh, that was a year ago. Talking about, but what if you soar? We don't have to be afraid of that, ladies. God has such beautiful plans for us. So the next one is perpetual comparison. You don't have enough based on what? Based on who? Because God said, I'm sufficient for you. I've given you what you need and I will fill in the rest. I've even given you what you need. Like I've created you. This is why understanding our core motivations and who we are in Christ and our identity based on Christ is so important. Because then when he reminds us, we're going to like, oh, that's right. This is who God created me to be. This is sorry, the dogs are barking. They let me go. Arcanine, my Bernedoodle, sits on the porch right outside the window and just barks and barks and barks. Pause, please. Okay, we'll see if that fixed it. He decided to come and sit under my feet. So could go great, could go bad. But back to this perpetual comparison. So when we are constantly looking outward, when we are constantly looking at what other people the problem is we don't see the behind the scenes. We don't see how far they've come. We take our mess and we compare it to their success. We take our beginning and compare it to their middle or ending. Like we can't do that and feel good about ourselves. It is important to look and see what other people are doing. But I would encourage you to celebrate what they're doing and seeing if they do it, it's possible for you. No, we don't have the same resources. We don't have the same skills. We don't have the same wiring. We don't have the same strengths. Even if they're doing something that we want to do, they're not going to do it the same way. And we don't even need to try to do it the same way as them, ladies. Like, this is why, again, it's so important to understand how God wired you, what your strengths are, what he's been highlighting to you throughout your life, and your gifts, your talents, your strengths, your weaknesses, your core motivations, your core avoidances, your core desires. Because the behavior behind it, the things that we do, they align with who God made us to be. When we perpetually compare ourselves to others, of course, we're going to feel short because we're not them. We don't have what they have. But you know what? They don't have what we have. They don't have the same strengths, and we don't know the areas that they needed to that they needed to come to Jesus meaning of, oh, I am enough. We don't know what their enough is. And so we need to stop. We need to stop comparing ourselves to others. Celebrate others' wins. When you see someone doing what you feel in your heart you're called to do, celebrate that, because that just gave you evidence that there's a need. If they're successful, so can you be. God isn't going to put it on your heart and then like pull the rug from under you and say, see, someone else is doing it. I never meant it for you. Like he's not going to do that. But what he's going to do is he's going to say, am I enough for you? Trust me, child. The plans I have for you are to be good, to prosper you. They're used for good. And so let's talk for a moment. Because a lot of times the not enough is we don't even know what it is. We don't even know the what behind the what. And so I like to use the Enneagram for this. I love using the Enneagram for this because of multiple reasons. But the one here is because if we know what our core desire is, we know where. Okay, we'll try this again. And just so you know, they're barking at nothing. Like there is maybe a car on another street driving by, but they're actually not barking at a single thing that matters. Anyway, gotta love the farm dogs that just are like, let me bark for barking's sake. But let's get back to the Enneagram. Let's talk about what's going on in our hearts. Because if we start to acknowledge where our longings are, where our core desires are, those are also pointing to those statements of not enough. And so we're just going to go down the list. I'm going to talk about each one. And if you don't know your Enneagram number, that's okay. If you're not a fan of it, that's okay. But what I want you to do is see that there's different ways that this statement comes up. It comes up 9 different ways with 9 different motivations. And you can see which one resonates with you, because it will help you understand how to change it. When knowledge is power. When we see acknowledging something inside of us allows us to decide, do we want to keep it or do we want to change it? Is it helping us or is it hindering us? And so this is why studying the Enneagram and studying ourselves is actually one of the biggest gifts that we can give to those around us and ourselves, is because when we understand why we do what we do, we can decide if we want to change it. We can decide if we want to lean into it, or if we know what our core desires and motivations are. So let's dive in here. So the not enough. Okay. So that's what we're going on, is how each Enneagram type feels not enough. And so we'll start with number 1. We'll start with number 1, which is the plight of the reformer and the I'm not good enough. Ones tend to make it personal. And we love details. And I say it's because I'm an Enneagram 1. I can see this. When I feel that it's not enough, I immediately point it back to that I'm not enough. It's not that I don't have enough resources. It's not that I don't have enough time. It's I am not enough. And so when I change that to God is enough for me, that He has created, He knows He made no mistake. And so ones, it's typically a personal thing. 2s, it's I'm not loved enough. 2s are a lot of times are people pleasers. And it's always that striving to give more and more and more, because when they give more and more and more, then they're liked, then they're loved more and more. So they may give so much they feel that it's unreciprocated. Number 3 is the achiever. I'm not successful enough. There's always more success. Well, friend, if you haven't defined success, then of course. And that is the biggest thing. And I'm going to write that down because I don't want to get onto this soapbox. When we think about not enough, we do need to think, okay, but what would it look like if it was enough? So 3s, there's not successful enough. This drive to achieve, well, there's always another level. There's always something more. And so if you feel like there's never like you're never successful enough, then that drive is going to consume you. For type 4, the individualist, I'm not unique enough. I'm not different enough. I need to stand out more. Oh, I'm like, someone told my daughter that you're so much like your mom. And they meant it as a compliment. And she took it as I'm not me enough. She took it as herself. And so feeling they're not special enough, that that their unique qualities aren't visible enough. Type 4, the investigator, that there's not enough information, that they don't know enough, that there needs to be more details. They need to learn more. They often feel a lack of knowledge and resources to be competent, which the 5s that I have in my life are some of the smartest people I know, and yet they always feel like there's more to learn. Type 6, the loyalist, not secure enough. So they constantly seek security, support, constant sense of lack, because they need more security. They need to be the comfort. They need the support. They need more support. Someone else needs to tell me more of what to do. Type 7, this one has been in my life recently, and I've been experiencing the idea of I'm not happy enough. One of the things, Kyle is a type 7, and one of the things we've been struggling with right now is just the disconnection. His kids have grown and they live out of the house and they're starting their own lives, and they're young adults, and so he feels disconnected. And so I don't spend enough time with them. I was like, okay, well, what is enough time with them? Because you just spent the entire weekend with family. But it's not, well, I need more. I need more connection. So this experience, I don't experience enough. So type 7s is just, I need more experience. Type 8, the challenger, is I'm not strong enough. There's that fear of someone controlling or someone deciding that their vulnerability is showing. And so I need to be stronger, which means that I need, it shows up in different ways, healthy and unhealthy. And then 9, the peacemaker, I'm not at peace enough. There's not enough harmony. I don't have enough peace or calm, or I'm not centered enough. And so the desire for this inner and outer peace, but they often feel that there's not enough. So you can see that there's different areas where enough shows up or doesn't show up, right? One of the biggest ways to combat that, I just smashed my toe. One of the biggest ways to combat that is to define what enough is. Like for a Enneagram 1, how will I know that I'm enough? And this is where, go directly to the Bible for these answers. Seriously, the verse that I just read, he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Embracing that God has already made you enough. So for me personally, realizing that I am enough as I am, just who I am. I don't need to improve to be liked. I don't need to improve to make an impact. I get to settle in who God created me to be. And so define what enough looks like. So let's say for a 6, that needs that secure enough is, what does security look like? How has God already made you secure? And so let's take some time and think about that. How has God already answered that? And what will it look like when you have or are or do enough? So my 2s who are doers, what does it look like to do enough? Embrace that. And so here's some more actions that you can take in order to combat the not enough mindset. Define definitions. I am a big proponent of defining the words that we say. What is success for you? What is failure for you? What is enough for you? Because my enough doesn't look like my daughter's, who doesn't look like my son's enough. It doesn't look like my friend's enough. Even a friend who is an Enneagram 1. When we define enough, we define it in different ways. And you know what? We're both right. So when you start to define it and really get curious and ask yourself, okay, Lord, what does not enough mean? And how will I know when I have enough? With my story with Kyle, like we talked about how his family from Germany was here for several days, and he took time off and spent time with them. And it's like, well, it's that connection. Is that enough? So you need 24/7. He's like, well, no, I don't need 24/7. I'm like, okay, so then what? Define what's enough. And then he realized, he's like, wow, I really did enjoy my time with them. And I just want I want more. And it's like, okay, well, we can plan more, but that's not a day-to-day thing. And so we've got to shift the mindset to, so what is enough? Well, okay, if I send them a text because we can't see our friends and family from, overseas daily. We can't even see our friends and family from around the country daily, even in the same town. We don't see them daily, but connecting with them daily, okay, that we can do. That's enough. If I can have have a conversation, a phone call, that would be enough. Great. Go forth and conquer. Now we have defined it. Now we have something to work with. And now we can't just say it's not enough, because let's face it, the way that He's put eternity in our hearts, which we're not ever going to get there until it's time for us to get there. And so let's define it. Practice gratitude. When did you have enough? And when did you have what you're looking for? And be grateful for it. How does it show up in your life? And then set realistic goals. Like I said, define it, and realize that is enough even our goal here? Or do we just want to feel like we're making progress? And then just seek support. If you want to know what your not enough statement is and how it's affecting you, like, let's chat. If you're interested in seeing what's possible for you, let's chat. Get on my calendar. And like I mentioned, I have this vision lab that's coming. This 4 weeks we're going to talk about the vision that God's put on our hearts, how to pull that out, how to create a vision board that actually will help you and motivate and encourage you to move forward. We're going to talk about our impact vision and so much more. Like it's going to be fun. I'm excited because this is something that I do for myself. I've done with my clients. I've done with my friends, and now I get to do it with you. So if you're interested in this 4-week vision lab, like, stay tuned, because it's coming. Tech stuff is one of the things that I never have enough done with, but I have a VA now who is amazing and is like helping me get all of that in order. But I wanted to share it before. I wanted to get you excited about it before I put it out there, because I've already created it, and my need for having it all done right a lot of times trumps me actually taking action. And so it's good enough for me. It's built enough for me to share it with you. And so we're going to talk, I can tell you right now what we're going to do. A vision board. We're going to create a vision, like vision affirmations, but different. We're going to talk about our identity in vision, and we're going to talk about our 3-year and our 1-year goals. We're going to start to bring this all together and paint one picture of what God has for us. So if you're interested in the Vision Lab, stay tuned. Get on my calendar. We can talk about it. Also, stay tuned, because I'm going to put it on. It'll be an email soon about the dates for it and what's coming. But I'm just thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you say yes to yourself. I'm thankful that you're willing to look at comments and thoughts that you have, like, I'm not enough, or I don't have enough, and see how it's holding you back from living the life that God wants for you, a life that prospers. And if this podcast has helped you in any way, please leave me a rating and review. Like, just, it takes 30 seconds. It means the world to me. It helps others find the podcast, and it just helps the podcast people, algorithm, whatever, to do the things that they need to do, because they know that it means something to you. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited. Choose joy until joy chooses you. And get on my calendar and let's chat. Let's see what's possible. Let's end 2024 strong. Let's learn how God is already enough for us. And let's see what's possible. All All right, now I'm rambling, so I'm going to close this and I will talk to you soon. Choose joy until joy chooses you. Bye for now.